Wow, I'm here. I'm here 3 minutes earlier than I'm supposed to be. So let's see. Here we go. I am never early for anything. I'm either exactly there on time or I'm a few minutes late. That's it's kind of an embarrassing confession, but that's really the truth. So I'm 2 minutes early and I'm super excited. So I'm gonna give it just 2 minutes to kind of make sure everything is going okay. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Terry. Hi, Anna. So excited. 1 minute and counting. Really, really super excited. Oh, great, great. I need someone to like I need like a stage manager or a director to count me down and say 10, 9, 8. So I know when to launch. I have to look through my bifocal lens to see the time on the clock. About 1 minute. So excited. Hi. Okay. It is 7 o'clock. Hello. Welcome everyone to Poets in Pajamas. My name is Tzynya Pinchback, and I'm a poet. And I'm in my pajamas, and I'm actually in my bed. I was going to do this from my desk, but two things. I actually ran a lot of errands today, so I'm a little exhausted. So I'm kind of recuperating from the day. So I thought I would do it in my bed. My bed is one of my favorite places in my house. It's one of the few places where everything is unpacked because I still haven't unpacked my house and we moved in May. So I am excited to be here and I'm very, very full of gratitude that Poets in Pajamas reading series selected me to be one of their featured poets and readers. So, very excited about that. I'm going to try to be interesting, and I want you guys to post some questions for me so I have something to chat with you about. And I'm going to read a few pieces as well, um, and talk about sort of what I'm working on, what my kind of goals are as far as my writing in the next or the coming year as I'm looking forward to 2020. 2019 has been really exciting. It's been a really exciting year for me. My daughter graduated from college. We moved into a larger place. Actually, now that we're here, I feel like it's too large. um, um, Not palatial. It's just too large because I'm lazy and I don't like to clean. And there's just a lot of areas that need to be kept up with. So, but also my health has been uh, more precarious than stable. So this has been a good year for reflection for me. And I've just started in the last month writing again and working on some new pieces. So I'm really excited for that. And I'm hoping to have enough pieces for a chapbook manuscript by the end of the year or beginning of next year. So that's what I'm working towards. Um, Hi. My aunt Jacqueline just logged in, so that's awesome. And my dear, dear friend Nina is on. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining. Um, so I'm going to get started with something that is kind of a common thing. One of the one of the question I get asked the most is, how do I pronounce my name? My name is Tzynya. It's pronounced Tzynya. It sounds like a zinnia. Nothing is silent. Every letter in the name is being utilized. So that's where it's a little confusing. It's not English, it's Hebrew, but it's the T is, you pronounce the T, you pronounce the Z. I get people that hear my name and they just become tongue-tied and they worry what to call me. So if you can't remember that and you ever have to, you see me at a reading or something and you want to chat, just say, hey, T, or I answer to T, TZ. And in any way you can say it, you ask me, I'll pronounce it for you. No big deal. I'm probably going to read one or two pieces from my chapbook. How to make pink confetti. Let's see if I can get that straight there. There you go. So How to Make Pink Confetti was published in 2012 by Dancing Girl Press. And it was a really interesting manuscript. I started working on this in 2007. I'd gone to the Hurston Wright Writers Week and I had a manuscript in mind. And after workshopping the manuscript, I came home and literally trashed it. I revised a lot of pieces. I moved a lot of pieces around. Most of the manuscript I actually threw out. I just didn't even use it. So that was in 2007. And then 2008 rolled around. My daughter was entering middle school. I was just really busy with work, with my day job. And I just sort of sat on the manuscript. I didn't really push forward with it. And as I think happens sometimes when you go to a really good writing workshop, you don't write. It's like I needed to just take a break and read. And I think I just read. I read work that I loved. I read writers that I loved. I read essays, prose. I read everything. And a few years later, in 2011, my father died. And when I got back home, which was to Atlanta at the time, when I got back home to Atlanta, I just wrote like crazy. Something about my father dying and that major transition, it's like something just broke open in me and I just wrote like crazy. So a lot of that went into this and into How to Make Pink Confetti. And the pieces in here are really about people being left behind. So maybe by lovers, maybe by time, by the death or the loss of a loved one, or maybe just how we leave pieces of ourselves behind. So the pieces are cohesive, but they're different from different voices, different kind of narrative pieces, and they're almost all narrative poems. So I will do some reading from here tonight. I'll pick a piece or two to read from there. But I am going to probably focus on some newer pieces and maybe a piece or two that's in progress. So I should probably get started with a piece. So I've got my very classy folder, my binder. See that? It's really sophisticated. It's really elegant. I've got my poems printed out and blown up large size because, as evidenced with my bifocals, That's what I have to do in order to see. So that's what we're going to do for you tonight. And the first piece that I'm going to start with is titled How to Shave Your Head After the First Chemotherapy Cycle. This piece was published at the end of 2017 when I was undergoing chemo and radiation for stage 3 cancer. So I'm in remission now. As a matter of fact, I have a PET scan tomorrow to follow up and to confirm that I am still in remission. So, fingers crossed, knock on wood, whatever you got. But this piece was published by the American Poetry Journal, and it was also published in the You Are Not Your Rape anthology last year in 2018. So I'm going to start with this one. Can you guys all hear me okay? Okay. How to shave your head after the first chemotherapy cycle. Tell yourself, this is not hair. This is lips, pursed, so only a little prey squeaks through when the faith has left you. This is Mr. Curtis blowing the reefer smoke from his mouth into your mouth. Your mom in the foyer doing a bump while your baby brother lies curled at your feet, dreaming. This is not hair. This is lips pressed tight so only a little cry leaks through when the moan is soot blacking out the sun. This is a lava bubbling across the surface of the light skin and soft curls Mr. Curtis says will protect you from the ire of white folk as he is pressing the reefer smoke onto your tongue with his tongue, your mother in the bathroom doing a bump, just one more, I promise, while your baby brother awakes to apparitions curled at your feet. This is traitor, pinning to the line best allowed to mold in the dark. Rest quietly beneath a cleverly placed center part like thatch of balding scalp. This is a red sequin dress, strobe lit and slinking across your mother's petite body, the most beautiful, smart woman in the parlor with other beautiful, smart women, sweet with Chanel No. 5, cocaine on grinning gums and acrylic nail tips, and you in the sleeping room, powder blue polyester school romper pulled down to your ankles, belly pressed to a window, staring out over the hills and maybe even the Hollywood sign if you look off to the right, he says each time. But you are only 8 and short for your age and see nothing rising above the darkness, interrupted by flash bulbs as Mr. Curtis makes pictures of you. Reefer smoke and ether in your brain. You are a babe in Tinseltown, and this is heavy chain to a rusted anchor, worn, crossbody, like playing dress-up in your mother's pocketbook. This is making your nerves bad, snaking beneath the surface of the light skin and soft curls Mr. Curtis says will protect you from the calamity of blackness. This is hand, foot, and tooth fighting for purchase on rock with no promise of a ledge. This is shame. Marionette doll stuffing a lava oozing from its seams, limbs jerking to the Parliament Funkadelic long playing a record through a haze of Mr. Curtis reefer smoke and your mother's bad math. How many free dime bags moored to your 8-year-old pussy. This is a knock at the door in the thick of night, announcing the rent has come due. What do you owe? What do you own? This is not hair. This is your mask askew. Thank you. I tried to, when I'm reading pieces or when I'm doing a reading, I try to feel kind of the energy in the room and what kind of what other people have read and just the kind of audience that you have, especially for pieces like that one. I wrote that piece. I actually started that piece when I was at my oncologist, and he was going over the treatment and the stage cancer that I had and what I could expect. And I mean, there was so much information he was throwing at me. I would need different types of treatment, and I wouldn't be able to work through it. And just basically all these tests. I think I met with him on a Friday, and that following Monday, for like 10 days, it was some new test or diagnostic exam that I had to go through. And I remember asking him, will I lose my hair? And he said, I don't know. He said the type of chemo cocktail that I would have to use, some people have thinning hair and some people, they don't lose their hair at all. And that just seemed to really stick with me. I thought that was going to be the biggest thing that I would look sick. And I remember when my hair started to thin, I was maybe 2 days into the thinning hair and pieces of it coming out. And I just decided I needed to just shave it and get it over with and just, and I remember thinking, tell yourself it's not hair. I've always had very long hair, and that was something that adults would always comment. If you're a Black woman, if you're a little Black girl and you have long hair, it's often a topic of discussion. And it just took me back to the first person that had, or the person that had done the most violating act to my 8-year-old self, and how much they would tell me that, oh, having long hair and having a certain complexion of skin will save you from the world. It'll be a passport through the world, while at the same time violating me. And I remember at 8 thinking, that's not true. Obviously, this is not true. And when I thought of that, I actually took my mom and my daughter, and they went with me and got my head shaved. And I thought it was something I would miss, and I thought it was something that I would mourn, and I really didn't. So I'm bald again, but it's because I'm sick again and my hair was falling out. So I just, again, I did it before, so I decided to do it again. But that piece is, it's difficult to read. It's difficult to read because people want to engage it. And when I've read it before, different readings, I'm always surprised and comforted by the people that will come up to me and they will tell me their stories of assault or of violation. And I just think, it's amazing. That piece just really sits with people. And it sits kind of like a stone. So I hope that it's not, it's not my intention to make anyone melancholy, but it is a strong piece. I wouldn't say it's my favorite piece, but it is definitely a strong piece for me. And I am trying to scroll down so that I can see some of your comments because I have a lot of comments. So bear with me because my scroll is slow. Thank you, Lindsay. Lindsay said that I have great lipstick. Lindsay, this is so awful. I was really, really worried about what lipstick to wear tonight, especially since I now don't have any hair. And I was going to wear this really muted, like a gold kind of gloss. And I went to Ulta last night and they have MAC there. And this is like some liquid matte lipstick. It feels amazing. It looks just, it's so vibrant and I love it. So thank you so much, Lindsay. I really am enjoying this lipstick. I've only had it for 24 hours. Let's see. Collier has a question. Let's see. Oh, thank you very much. Collier says she has the chapbook and that she has enjoyed some of the pieces in the book. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I'm going to scroll slowly to try to get to the other comments. There we go. Thank you, Annie. Thank you so much for your kind words. Annie, thank you for sharing. So I'm going to go to another piece. Let's see. Oh, wow. Collier asked, what poets sparked my passion for poetry? The first poet that I used to read that I fell in love with in middle school was Lord Byron. I loved his work and it was so romantic and it just spoke to everything I thought adulthood would be. I just thought adulthood would be like these sprawling fields and long walks and just filled with angst of unrequited love and just passion. And I guess sometimes it is. And I would say also Pablo Neruda. So I'd say Pablo Neruda and Lord Byron were my first two. That I fell in love with their poetry. In elementary school, before I really knew what poetry was, the first poet that I ever read was Langston Hughes. I didn't even think of it as poetry. I don't even remember if it was ever taught to me as poetry. It just seemed to be beautiful. Mother to son, life for me, ain't been no crystal stair. The Negro speaks of rivers. I just remember loving Hughes's writing, and I didn't for years really identify it with poetry. It just seemed to speak to a part of me that was just visceral and vital, like speaking to your favorite uncle or a long distant relative that you only get to see on holidays. So definitely one of my favorite poets that I still read her work all the time. I just read it over and over again, is Sandra Cisneros. I love her work. I love her prose. I love her poetry. I love the color and the energy and the anger and the beauty and just the music. It's so filled with music. So I really enjoy Sandra Cisneros. She's probably my favorite poet. So I'm going to try another piece. That piece, the first piece I read, of course, discusses me and my mom a bit. So I want to read this one that I wrote for my mom last year or earlier this year. It's titled, While Sorrow Trickled from You Like a Spring. And this was published in the spring issue of Up the Staircase Lit Journal, and you can find them online. And I wrote this I started as a letter to my mother. And actually before that, this piece started as a letter, a rant, a rage letter to Jeff Sessions. He was speaking before, I don't know if it was before Congress or not, but they were talking about the opioid crisis. And he made a flippant remark that Americans need to toughen up and just tough it out. That sometimes you could just take an aspirin and go to bed. And I remember thinking, yes, we do have, we do have a problem with addiction in America. Yes, for various reasons. But to simplify pain and just say, why don't you just take an aspirin and tough it out? So I started writing this letter to Jeff Sessions to just let him know, a person who's undergoing cancer or any other kind of illness that causes the kind of pain that would require oxycodone, for example, cannot just take an aspirin and go to bed. And after I got into like maybe 2 paragraphs of this letter that I was actually going to send to Jeff Sessions' office, I thought about it. How would this be better served? I started thinking of all the work that my mother did when I was sick, how she cared for me. And I just, tore it up, threw it away, and figured I could put all that energy into writing to Jeff Sessions, or I could write a letter of gratitude to my mom. So that's what I did. And actually, I made an error. This, While Sorrow Trickled from You Like a Spring, was published in the spring issue of Mom Egg Review in April of 2019, this year. So if you have a copy of that around, it is in there. And I have a copy, and I would show it to you on screen, but I have yet to unpack my 20 plus boxes of books, and it's deep within the bowels of those boxes. I've been looking for it for 3 days, and I've unpacked about 10 of them and have yet to find it. So my apologies, but it's published in Mom Egg Review. While sorrow trickled from you like a spring, you mixed a lidocaine salve for my burnt skin and placed a basin of tepid water and lavender oil on the bed where I lay curled, head nesting in the crook of my arm as if repentant. You hummed the same song about divine grace, your faith unwavering as you did this work. At 69, your hands steady, you pressed firm on my leg, pulling taut the adhesive tape to undress the wound. One by one, you soaked paper towels in the sweet-smelling water, washed and patted dry my falling away skin. When I winced, drawing my hands into fists, you slowed your pace and reminded me to expose the wound, allow it to breathe. Every living thing needs oxygen. You, standing at the window, clumps of paper towels like wilted peonies in your grasp, whispered, I wish it was me. As if spoken full out, the words were embers and my body the sagebrush. But then you laughed, said I was too young to have cancer and old lady hands, your and your mother's hands, soft, small lines that carry the perfume of cinnamon and lime, long after the last mound of dough has been rolled out and folded around apples for pie. Slender fingers that pull plant from soil, leaf from stem, but just as easily smooth hair knots into lush coils. You are right. These hands have never been new. We enter this world already holding our mother's stories. Thank you. That piece is really important to me because when with the first piece I started, I talk about my mother's addiction. My mother fought hard to fight her addiction, and she's doing amazingly well now. Um, but it was still something that kind of lingered between us, I think even more so than with my other siblings, or just maybe differently. And when I got sick and my mother came out and she stayed with me for 4 months and she did this work. I mean, my mother is 70 and she was up at dawn, and when I couldn't get out of bed, she got me out of bed and she curled in bed with me and she held me and she cared for me, and she didn't ask for anything. She didn't push. And she never once, I never saw her doubt that I would recover and that we would get through. And I have written in some form or fashion over the past 20 years, probably something to do with the trauma of my mother's addiction when I was a child. And it was important to me because I felt like this piece symbolizes our relationship coming full circle. Um, and just how grateful I am for that to have happened. I'm not happy that I got cancer, but if me getting cancer and my mother and our relationship getting back to what it was and just finding like a new beauty in that relationship with my mother, I'm good with that. Um, Life hands us a lot of challenging things, and I think if you can get out of some of those challenges with a little bit of beauty and love, then you're probably really, really lucky. So let's see. I'm trying to I'm trying to scroll. I'm scrolling, so my scroll just works so slow. Let's see. Um, Hi, Teresa. Teresa, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Teresa Sonato Edwards. Teresa, I read, the first piece I read, How to Shave Your Head, after the first round of chemo. I mentioned that was published in the American Poetry Journal. And Teresa is the one who published it. She was the editor, and she is the one that published that piece. Um, I remember Teresa publishing two of my pieces a long time ago in Holly Rose Review back in, I want to say 2000. Oh gosh, man, I want to say 2010, maybe 2011. But Teresa has always been a great supporter of my work. So thank you for stopping by and for joining, Teresa. Let's see, Annie. Yes, yes. Annie says, survivors find other survivors. We journey healing together. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Thank you for the comment, and thank you for joining and for listening. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to try to scroll down a little bit. It seems that the scrolling goes really slowly, so bear with me, you guys. I have my daughter hiding in the corner somewhere because she's my tech support. So for some reason I can't get further down, or if this laptop is like perched on like a box of tissues and a box of books and on top of a desk sitting on my bed. So you know, we just kind of jimmy rig things around here. That's how we do it. So let's see. Um, See another piece here. Something new that I'm working on that is, I got a chance to play around with sound, and I'm doing things with some newer pieces that I haven't done before, that I've been afraid to do before. Um, like sound. I even have something where I'm kind of singing. Don't be afraid. Believe me, I know. I feel the same way. I I can't sing. People hear me and they hear my voice, and my voice is very deep. So they think, oh, well, she must be able to sing. I can't sing. That's that's not That's not a skill that I possess. So let's see. Let's find something a little more music-y. See if I can get another question. Hi, Zaji. So Zaji said, you said it was difficult to read the piece. How difficult was it to write it? It was very hard. That piece, when I first wrote it, I cried. There have been two pieces that I've written in my writing life that I've cried about, and that is one of them. I wrote a draft of it, and then I revised it as you do. We're, a lot of us are writers here, so we understand that. And it was very hard. It was very hard. And I think one of the things that was hard about it is because when you're writing something that's so close, you want to put too much in it. And I just had everything in there. So I wrote it out, which is my process. When I get a thought that I want to write something or write about something, I'll just write it in a really bad draft. I don't worry about what it's going to look like or how it sounds. And with that piece, the part that was difficult with the revising is I have a little bit of repetition in there. I wanted to make music of it. I wanted to make it beautiful. And how do you make something that's so close to you that was so dark? How do you find beauty and without watering it down? You don't want to water down the the piece. So it was very hard. It probably took me 6 months to write it. The other piece that I wrote that was very difficult for me was a piece I wrote about my dad. And I'll read that now. It's called Traveling Mercies. And when my father died back in 2011, I was supposed to write his eulogy, and I never did. I couldn't find the words. I still haven't. Luckily, my family is very kind, and they kind of understand me to be the weird one. So they said, okay, we're going to let Tzynya write the eulogy in her time. So it's kind of become the decades long eulogy because I still have yet to write it. But when Aretha Franklin died, I just thought of her song, Call Me. And it's one of my favorite songs by her. And it's the song that reminds me of my dad the most. And the night that she died is when I wrote this piece for my dad. And I actually cried all the way through it. And the first two times I read this in public, I teared up. It just got caught in my throat, and I would have to start over. I'm much better at reading it now, and the name of it is Traveling Mercies. This was the one that was published in February of this year in Up the Staircase Quarterly. So we'll start. Traveling Mercies. Quote, and Aretha is the last sound they hear before dying. End quote. Ta-Nehisi Coates from Between the World and Me. Ain't no way I left town without the pitch of her yell, the swell of her moan, a river through my speakers after you, squatting beside my car to place hand to fender in prayer, the road, Denver to Nashville, rise to greet me. Eyes gray and glinting with tears, told me goodbye for the last time. After craft beers and breakfast in lower downtown, you said, ain't no way these gastropub biscuits taste better with seeded black jam than the art of your scratch gravy. Bleached flour over grease drippings, scrambled in cast iron until almost burnt black, before seeping in water and whisking together slowly, slowly like night, rolling into dawn, like the morning I awoke at your bedside, reclined and counting the seconds between your exhalations. And ain't no way, in that lingering silence after the final rush of air left your lungs, filling the room with your exit, I didn't bargain for time enough to pray you safe passage, my tongue a vinyl groove repeating, call me the moment you get there. Thank you. Let's scroll for some more more pieces. Elizabeth, who is my daughter, that's my tech support department. She says Langston Hughes is a classic. My daughter is probably a better read individual than I am at this point. And yes, Langston Hughes is one of her favorite poets as well. Let's see. Thank you, Joyce. That's really sweet. Thank you for joining. I'm scrolling down to get to some more of your comments. Let's see here. And I am going to read another piece. This piece is one that I've been working on for a few months. I think I have it close to finished or revised. I need to I'm not sure what I want to do with it. It's going to be in my collection that I'm working towards. Not sure if I know about that. I'm not sure where I'm going to try to submit it or how I'm going to work it in yet. But it's a fun piece. And let's see, let me pull it up here. Because of course, I printed it out to read, but my my printer did not want to print it. My printer was being a little persnickety today. So let's see if I can get to some more questions. Okay, so hi, Candace. Candace says, you can sing, lady. I've heard you. I cannot imagine what you have heard me do that sounds like singing, but I will not do it here today because I don't want to torture you kind people who have come out to hear me read poetry. Zaji asks, how has cancer transformed your poetry, if at all? Basically, has this changed your voice? Yes. So before cancer, I felt like when I would sit down to write that I would just sit down with like a hurricane of thoughts and I would just want to, get something out. And, I also felt like I was driven more by muse. I was really hung up on muse and I have to be inspired and, the planets have to align and, the tides have to be at the right peak for me to come, for things to come together and me to write. And when I got cancer, there's something about being sick. It makes you kind of indulge, kind of quiet. And I really, first of all, it's the first time in my life that I wasn't in charge and that I had to kind of relinquish things to my family and to friends and to my care team, my doctors. And there was something about that vulnerability and that fear that made me really appreciate quiet. And I think my voice since cancer has just been like I'm trying to explore gratitude and the body and how the body works and just the beauty of the mundane. That's how my voice has changed since cancer. I want to write about just the everyday. not just the big things, not just the graduations and the weddings and the despairs. I want to write about, just the other day I caught my daughter standing in the window looking at a bluebird in the bird feeder in our backyard. And I want to write about that. I want to write about, the bluebird in the morning and, just the perfect cup of coffee and a friend calling or just sitting with a friend and talking. Um, After this collection that I'm working on now, that I hope to finish in the next 6 months or so, a lot of these pieces are really about the body, where I'm interrogating the Black woman body and kind of the over policing of our bodies and how we don't have permission to be authentic and to be in our bodies. Our bodies are too Black and too loud and too big, and they take up too much space. And I really am exploring that with this next this group of pieces that I'm working on now. But I'm also writing about my favorite flowers, and I know for the collection that I will be working on after that, it will probably be nature poems. I never noticed things like that to the degree that I do now until cancer. So, in a way, cancer has kind of opened my eyes to a lot of beauty that's just existing there. And maybe that's because when you're laid up in bed and you're in pain and you can't do much, um, you do just start to think and really reflect on things. And if you've ever been sick and you're just stuck in bed or you're stuck in the house or you're just kind of stuck in your own mind, just the sun on your skin, it's just amazing. It's so thrilling and it's such a gift. And you kind of want to steal it, but you want to share it. You want to give it. And that's, I think, what cancer did for my writing. I think it made my voice a little calmer. Of course, you can't tell by the two pieces I've just read, but I think it did that. One of the pieces that I think kind of demonstrates that is a piece, Water. This piece, it was published in the Aurorian in the spring issue of 2019, and it was nominated for a Pushcart Prize, my first Pushcart Prize nomination. So I'm so super excited about that. And it was published under the title Water, the Year of My Cancer. I've since changed it to just Water. And here it is. Your hair, like ribbons of silk, black against the horizon. On the first warm day of spring, we stood at the shoreline in Hull, pants tucked into our duck boots. Braiding seaweed spat from the mouth of the tide. My feet, like hot stone, sank through the shifting sand, and I fell, cold water rushing the length of my body. You plucked me from the undertow, at the start of what, in the coming weeks, I would call the season of my drowning. We wrung out my sweatpants, stuffed clamshells deep into our pockets, and drove home with the ocean in our socks. Thank you. That's a short but sweet little poem. And I think, to your question, Zaji, I think that poem really, really captures how my voice has changed, or my writing voice has changed since cancer. Um, Thank you, Pam. That's very sweet. um, let's see. Thank you, Candace. Hi, Candace. My dear friend Candace asks, how do you find the energy and passion to write so consistently? Oh my gosh, I wish I had the discipline to write as often as I should. I should be writing every day. Those of you who know me or have read my blog, I my day job, I'm a proposal writer. So I'm writing all the time. I'm just not always writing what I love to write. Um, but I do, hmm, I write more than I was writing a few years ago. And that's because I've given myself permission to write badly. So I'll just write a bunch of crap, file it away, and then when I know I can come back to it, when I'm ready to come back to it and revise it into something beautiful, or at least try to achieve something beautiful, then I do that. Um, that that's something that has helped me a lot in the last few years, is just getting things down. And I think cancer helped with that too, because when I was undergoing treatment, there would be times that I just couldn't write when I wanted to write. I would just be too tired, or my schedule was busy going back and forth to the hospital for treatment. So I would just have to write down, I saw something, I saw a really interesting house that was ramshackle, and it just sparked some kind of, something in me to write about it. I would just have to write it in passing, or sometimes I just make a note, it's just like 2 sentences, and then go back to, fix it up and dress it up and turn it into a poem or something poetic, later down the line. So I'm scrolling again, you guys. The scrolling takes a little while, so bear with me. Um, let's see here. I'm going to do this piece. I'm going to read it from my phone like I'm some young person, and I'm not. And you see these glasses on my face, so you already know I should not be reading from my phone. But I like this piece. This piece is fun. Um, you know, yeah, it's fun. So I'm going to do this piece. And bear with me because I might have to squint. I should invest more time in memorizing my poetry so that I can recite it as opposed to reading it. But, we do what we can here. So this one is titled, and this is a work in progress. So this one is titled, Girl with Black Sounding Name Records Message on Prescription Refill Line. Seeking panacea for exaggerated or phantom pain. 4.5 decades, Black woman flesh, disposable, burdened with pain. Pronounced Tzynya, verb from Hebrew, meaning to listen for, hear, spelled Tzynya. The first letter, T, is a stop, disrupts airflow, quick, sharp, staccato. Repeat after me. T, t, t. Hard, like turmeric, tincture, like something ground in teeth, held tight in the hand till the fingers cramp and bleed. When I feel tainted, remind me I am holy. Like tumor or tomorrow is unpromised. The next letter, Z, is a voiced consonant. Place your hand on throat to feel a slight vibration when you make the Z sound, like zinnias in the window box overlooking the sick bed. Like what's his is ours, and other harbingers of doom. Like zip closed your lips and legs because shrill and sex on a woman is danger. Then, masquerading as a vowel, the letter Y, pressed close to N to make the een sound, like spleen, like obscene, the fat body left to rot with dis-ease. What do you mean, newfound brain mass, origin unknown? Before puncture, you must clean the skin. In this space, write the name of person over 18, serving as healthcare proxy. Another letter, Y, palatal, your tongue's bed touching the roof of your mouth, dense like yes. Yellow is the color a bad liver paints the skin, like yield before pulling into traffic, yield before diving into cold water or arms of man who will match your fidelity with cruelty, leave you maligned, a marriage of bad cells inside you, 20 years. And finally, the last letter, A, but short and frail, an open back vowel. Your lips do not curve round, like ma, I'm afraid, like like Yah, like Yahweh, like God. Thank you. That's one of my favorite pieces right now because it's just fun to play with sound. Everyone should write a name poem, by the way. That's your assignment. You didn't know there'd be homework. There will be homework, and this will be on the test. Everyone should go home tonight and write a name poem, and then tag me in it on Facebook or email it to me. My blog is tzynyapinchback.com. Any form or spelling of Tzynya with Pinchback, you'll find my blog. There aren't that many Tzynya Pinchbacks out there. Let's see. I want to get one more question, and my scroll is so slow before I choose a last piece. Let's see. Maybe I'll do something a little more, maybe a little more rhyming, something that's a song. I have a piece called Juneteenth's Lover's Song. And I wrote it because whenever we talk about Juneteenth or whenever we talk about the enslavement of Africans on this continent, we always talk about the sorrows, and we should, because it was and it still is a sorrowful thing. But I wanted to explore the joy and the love that had to take place when they were declared free. Someone somewhere had to make love. Someone had to celebrate. And I just wanted to capture that, not to minimize the pain, not to minimize the genocide, but I just wanted to show, just for a glimpse, maybe a little love there at the time of that freedom. So this one is Juneteenth Lover's Song. Is meter and rhyme a breath and place? Is light and shadow a texture and space? Is ink-stained palm slide the buckskin drum, a dust-born kiss to black-wash the sun? Is a blood like lava pushed hot in the vein? Daddy, suckle the teat, sweet as rum and cane. Is pulse and tendon a hair-tight wound bone? Is clay and moss sand ground from stone? Is sea glass and wool rusted anchor dragged cross skin? Is death spell lust dressing Calypso's fin? One stamp of the feet, two clang of the bell, echo a salve from deep in my well. Is speak like swirl of ether painted red? A free is song of your name coiled on my tongue's bed. Thank you. I like that poem. Let's see. My scrolling is still very slow. Hi, Glennis. Thanks for joining. Thanks. Hi, Talisha. Thank you. Thank you, Everett, for saying that I can't see. No, I cannot see. I was very surprised when I went to the ophthalmologist earlier this year and they gave me a prescription for bifocals. I did not even know how to look out of them. So oftentimes I'm walking around looking like that or looking like that because sometimes I'm just a little bit of a moron. And, you know, that is that. Let's see. I'm going to do one more, do one quick one. Let's see here. What can I do quickly? I'm going to do pallbearers. I'm going to end with pallbearers. And I wrote this one for my mom when she was taking care of my aunt. Pallbearers. They are singing a song for the living, lamentations to the burden and gift each new day on which your name is written. A song full-throated at once harkens back to the warmth and lush florals of youth, your lily of the valley, your sandalwood and myrrh, your tangerine sweets and sun-kissed skin mapping its lyric. A ha ha ha, hee hee song of merriment by ritual feasts and ornamentation spirited, bearing of children and fires lit against the sky to mark the victory of their births. They are singing a song for the dead, tongue heavy with prey, knowing night falls a dense fog lingering underfoot or gale swift at your back, washing and redressing the day, a pulse thready beneath its fingers, throwing open the window and its trimmings, a tide quaking beneath its lyric. Sing you on to the morrow where there is no lament. Thank you. And I think we've got like one more minute. So I just want to thank you all for joining and coming into my room. And I'm sorry that my curtains don't match my pillow shams, but again, poets persevere. So I just want to thank everyone for coming. And our video is going to end shortly. So I am going to try to respond to any comments or questions that I didn't get a chance to during the live broadcast. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I loved reading for everyone. And you can find me at TzynyaPinchback.com or Tzynya on Twitter or on Facebook. I'm around. And thank you so much. And please carry these good vibes into your week. Thank you. Bye. I still want to find my comments. Oh, I'm leaving. It's cutting me off before I can find my comments. Yes. Cool.